Welcome back, my Duelist friends. Casual Duelist here. I've got another Time Wizard format deck because, again, it is Thursday. So today's deck is going to take place within the Critter format. So again, this is between like July 2002 to like October 2002, and has the addition of Metal Raiders cards. So this one being a vanilla beat is pretty straightforward. This is basically just a beatdown deck. This would be what aggression would have looked like in that time period. And again, like usual, I'm only going to give you the 40 card main deck. Everything that you don't see that would be in the main deck normally, consider that to be things that are in the side deck for this time period. Because again, the card pool is not that crazy. To start this build, I'm going to be using 3 copies of the new Metal Raiders 7-colored fish. Again, this just lets us bump up to an extra 1,800 point card. This, in conjunction or in cooperation with Lajin, equals like a super power base. And again, you got to remember, like between, February, March, when the whole thing starts, in Legend of Blue Eyes till the summer of 2002, we've seen the power scaling go from like a 1550 being the best 4-star to having multiple 1,800 point 4-stars, which is cool. And to keep the attacks going, we're also going to main in 3 copies of Summoned Skull. Now, I know that this is going to cause a bit of a why would you do that? But when we're being honest, okay, a lot of players who play just aggression would play more monsters for offense, and their decks weren't as balanced with defense. So while this might have ripped through something like, let's say like an Exodia deck or like the Catapult Turtle Control, playing Mirror Match, which happened a lot more often because again, these are commons, these are in a starter deck, these are in a starter deck. So far, like a fourth of the deck is very easy to get to. So it's not really playing budget versus budget. It's just if you don't think out your moves a little bit, your opponents are going to win. So I stopped my aggression there. Some people will, in fact, just disinclude the Summoned Skull entirely. Some decks would actually use extra copies of Battle Ox or Neo in this point. And then just not go for the Tribute Monster. To go into my defenses, I'm going to be using 3 copies of the Giant Soldier of Stone and 3 Walls of Illusion. And again, the reason I do this is because, again, 2K is probably the best defense with no tributes required at this point. And just Soldier of Stone has the best offense out of like the 5 or maybe 6 options that have that defense. And then I go with Wall of Illusion instead of doubling up on my defenses because the bounce capability. Again, some players know that this is good. Some players they don't want to deal with it. Sometimes you'll see this in lower numbers where it'll be like 1 or 2 of them in there, just sort of like a tech throw-in. I find that it stops a good majority of monsters. And again, if your opponent does tribute someone into something like a skull, you're going to set yourself up for this great moment where they have to go back and, retribute. It causes them to pay the resource out twice, which is awesome. Going into like tech cards, I do run 2 Faith and 2 Maneater Bug. Again, this is pretty simple. I just love the cards. Spot destruction and recursion of my spells is always a good thing. And I'm running 2 witches. I'm not running any Sangans. And the reason for that is actually pretty basic. Since this is more about the aggression and less about the defense, I didn't feel the need to put Sangans in. The only card Sangan would search is going to be everything that's defensive or these tech cards. But since I do want to get to my offensive options as quick as possible, which, going off of the defense value, 1,500 or less, nets me all 3 of my big hitters, as well as still getting me the Magician of Faith and the Maneater Bug. Just doesn't allow me to go into the bigger defense options. So for me personally, this was just the move. I'm going to move this down just a hair, and I'm going to move this up just a hair, because I want to try to get you guys the deck in the all-in-one screenshot if I can. Because that just seems like it'd be better. Going to my spells, 1 Change of Heart. This wins games in this time period. Again, we're not doing crazy things. Yeah, I might tribute it for a Summoned Skull. Chances are I'm just running it at you. And with the option, the amount of times I've seen Cannon Soldier in this time period, I can run the Cannon Soldier against my opponent, and I can still pop it by its own effect, and maybe even the rest of my own lineup, just to go ahead and get game damage off. So again, Change of Heart, really good card. We're going to use a single copy Dark Hole since that's what the ban list will allow us. We are going to run 3 Fissures. This really helps us take care of monsters. So either we're going to go for a big turn where we blow everything up and then we start strong because maybe they've got a big defense lineup, or maybe they've got a big offensive lineup. The Fissures are more or less for like the spot destroys. They had, Lajin and 7 colored fish on their side of the field, and they attacked. They got into your Wall of Illusion. They bounced one. It's your move. You're going to Fissure the other one because Change of Heart didn't come up. Whatever. Continuing in, we are going to use 2 copies of Heavy Storm. Again, this card is a huge hitter that was just released with Metal Raiders. This will allow us to clean up the back row, so we're not so worried about things like Wabaku. If they're going to activate Wabaku, they're just simply going to do it. It will be the response. We know that we can't do anything. We'll just pass off the turn, or we'll hit the Dark Hole. One way or the other, we will be able to set things off. We're also not falling into trap holes, and it means that if they're going to use their copies of Reinforcement, they're going to have to try to battle trick beforehand, at which point it's not really battle tricking. It's just you showing me your moves, at which point, again, I can like Change of Heart, take an increased monster, and then run it. It's all good. Monster Reborn, great one-of. Pot of Greed, good one-of. Playing the 1 copy of Raigeki. Again, just trying to eliminate opponent monsters as much as possible so that we can just go in and win. 2 Swords of Revealing Light. I feel like this is still semi-staple. And even for like an offensive deck, I don't want to run into Maneater Bug just because, you Dark Hold, you set 1. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to activate Swords of Revealing Light. I'm going to see what I'm getting into. And if it is something like a Maneater Bug, it's going to flip, it's going to activate, it's going to have to pop itself because it has to target something. So again, sometimes it's a good way of diffusing flip effects. It's a good way of not running into the Giant Soldier of Stone on accident. This, that, or the other. Additionally, if it is like a Wall of Illusion, if it is a Giant Soldier of Stone, hey, we got Fissure. So it's not like I'm super worried about it. It's just trying to figure out how the cards are going to work in a combination that's going to work for you, especially in this time period. Traps are pretty straightforward. You're going to use your 1 copy of Mirror Force because you need it. Since I don't mind running Reinforcements, I'm going to be playing 3 copies of Reinforcement. And again, this just comes from a place of like, yeah, cool, yeah, you got, Lodge in and you attack my Giant Soldier of Stone. Well, maybe I can boost Giant Soldier of Stone. We both lose 1. I just add a little bit of game damage. Some people will actually just play Ukazi in this spot too, which is fine because that's 800 direct damage. But we're just talking about like dealing with monsters, just making them a little more powerful. And that's all. And then last but not least, 3 copies of Trap Hole. Because again, this is a time period before we get things that are huge and explosive. And I don't mean to always bring up things like Light Sworn or Black Wings or anything like Edison format builds. But like Trap Hole goes, I feel, underappreciated in a lot of time periods where the initial summon had to be a normal summon before the deck could pop off. And it's just a humble little trap card. We've had it since day 1. And I think it just goes with a lot of things, especially when you consider your opponent might be thinking like we are. They might have a Giant Soldier of Stone. They might summon it in attack mode to try to get you for game. Trap Hole can still get that. Certain situations where that's necessary. But this is the deck. It's just a run-of-the-mill vanilla beats. Other deck options you guys might consider. Jirai Gumo at 2200. Even if you don't attack with it, it's a great threat. Especially since it is 4-star. It is searchable through Witch. Another good card like this would be the Dark Elf. Literally the stat flip of the Mystical Elf with even a color palette swap actually. With 2,000 attack, and it will cost you 1,000 to attack with it. But sometimes that's just negligible. You just go ahead and do what you want to do. You might also keep things like card destruction in the main deck. You might keep those in the side deck. I feel like they're a side deck thing here. Just in case somebody does, find out that your opponent's playing into an Exodia build. It's good stuff. But yeah, anything that you don't see in the main or numbers that you don't like maybe you'd play 3 Man-Eater bugs, it's in the side deck. Okay? This is just a cookie cutter basic build. This is something to show you guys what it was like back then. I'll let you guys take a vote. Either I will move on to the next set release, or me and Celestial will go ahead and play a couple of these decks. You guys let us know what you guys want to see, okay? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed bringing these to you. Hopefully you'll leave us a like, comment, sub, help support the channel. And then just go about having a wonderful day, all right? Hope to see you guys on the next video. Later.